Hello, hello. Is my microphone on? How's everyone doing today, guys? How's everybody? How's everybody? Hey, hello, hello. Can't play Valorant on my birthday. It's very unfortunate. Happy early birthday, sir. All right, without further ado, let's get started, guys. My name is Rye. Welcome back to another ProGuides live class for Valorant. Today's topic is going to be game sense. So game sense is a pretty obscure / abstract. My mic is echoing? Oh no. Everything is working good? Okay, then maybe it's something on your end, Mr. Super. Maybe you have like 2 tabs open or something. Thanks for that confirmation. I got pretty scared for a second. So, without further ado, today's topic is going to be game sense. It's a very abstract topic, but the fundamentals of a game like this, a game like CS, like attack shooter kind of thing, is having game sense combined with aim, right? Like, so yesterday we had bump out cover, like just general tips on how to improve your aim, like crosshair placement and clearing angles. These are all really important things when you're playing a game like this. So if you combine that with developing your game sense, then you're gonna be a really, really good player if you keep working on these things, right? So for some of you guys that were maybe here on Tuesday, we did a class on Sova. Well, me specifically, I did a class on Sova. And today we're going to focus less on characters. Specifically, we're going to focus on more just like how to decipher what's going on the map at any given time. My current rank is Valorant.
Here. You couldn't pay me to sit at a desk.
Hey, welcome back, Mr. Max.
My ult's ready.
So I already see some people asking, what does game sense mean exactly? So it's a really abstract thing. How I would describe game sense is that game sense is more like instincts or kind of like a feeling. There's no like set definition for what game sense actually means. But what people usually refer to when you have really good game sense is like you're really aware of everything that's going on the map at the same time, right? Because like the only things that you can see are your team's position, and then whenever you see the enemy team, you can see their position on your map, but you can also infer by using information that they give. Like throughout the round, as the round progresses, there's a lot of information that will be given to you directly and indirectly, right? So the number one tip right now, before I even get deeper into this, the most important thing I would recommend you guys all to do right now if you want to improve your game sense is to go straight to your maps. You want to go to your settings right now, and you're going to go to general, and you're going to turn your mini map to the biggest. Is like you want to see the whole map, because what game sense basically is that it's basically like all around awareness, right? Like you want to know where everyone is at all times, or even if you don't know, you want to be able to guess. So by having your map as big as possible, you can see everything that's going on the map. So if your teammate bumps into somebody on the other side of the map, you can see that, hey, like this character is playing on this site, right? And there's direct information and indirect information that happens as you go throughout the rounds, right? So if I'm playing mid and I don't see anybody peeking, right? If I'm playing mid and there's nobody at all peeking me, then I have no information, right? But if I'm playing defense, then like I'm going to be using utility, right? Because people are always going to be using utility. So if I'm playing defense and I smoke
down
ramp, I mean if I smoke middle, then it's pretty safe to assume that Brimstone is playing middle, or like at least somewhere very close to middle, right? So the thing about a Brim smoke being thrown middle is that he could be in a range of places. He could be in B heaven, he could be in middle, or he could be like A ramp. There's a lot of places you could throw a Brim smoke from because the range is very large. So I could also smoke mid from ramp, right? So if at the start of the round, right at the beginning, a brimstone smoke goes down, then you can infer that like, so there's 3 possibilities right away, right? It's like, okay, so right now in my head, brimstone is either mid, he's either B heaven, or he's either A ramp. So it's not possible for him to be site.
Right here.
It's not possible for him to be A
Right
site.
here.
So he's close to being somewhere in the middle, right? And if, for example, I was on the attack side and I was like, hey, let's try to bait some utility out, or like let's try to take heaven. So I decided to smoke off vents, right? So I smoke off vents and I start running up. And what does the enemy team do? The enemy team, for example, has like maybe the brimstone is heaven and he throws a molly here to stop the push, right? So it's like, okay, so we know that brimstone is playing B heaven and he just uses Molotov. So what else does brimstone have left in his kit? He has
Stim beacon down.
a stim beacon and smokes. So he no longer has any way to fully stop your push, right? Because a Molotov will completely stop a push because you can't run through that. So there's all sorts of different things you want to consider. Like everything that happens throughout the round, it's things that you want to keep in your mind. So it's like, hey, like, okay, so if brimstone is not here, for example, if brimstone is A ramp, and it's like, if we're pushing up mid, if we smoke out vents for some reason, like if we smoke out vents like we want to take it, and then Sage is here, and Sage puts a wall like this, as I'm sure some of you guys have seen, right?
Right here.
Maybe Sage puts a wall over here, or she throws some slow orbs. So we know that Sage is B heaven. So now in the back of your head, I'm sure you guys have probably felt this as well. Like when you try to push into a Sage with a lot of utility, it's not a lot of fun, right? Because you're gonna end up slamming your face into a wall, or running in, like trying to run through slow orbs and probably dying, right? So there's all sorts of information that you can process at the start and like throughout the middle of the round. And another thing you guys want to keep in mind is that most of the time, especially in competitive games like in solo queue or whatever, even in ranked or like in a scrim setting, most people like to play the same spot every round, right? So like every single round they'll play the same exact site. They usually won't switch it up. So if you see Cypher playing B on split defense, he's probably going to be here for the rest of the map, right? And then if you know there's a Cypher here, then you know that there probably is going to be traps on the wall. So, you know, at the start of the round, you can maybe just for free, right? You can try to spam the wall and try to get a trap for free.
Right here.
And then there might be a trap over there, or cameras in like really common spots. They've patched out most of the glitch cameras, so it's pretty good. But you always want to keep in mind like enemy positions most of the time, because that'll really help your team and yourself when you're doing a push, if you pay attention to where everybody is. Split pushing, make sure you pay attention to your teammates, your enemies see also. Yeah, exactly. So if your teammates are like peeking out A, then you also want to, you know, you should think it's like, okay, so if for example, right here, let's do this. Okay. So for the most part, right, the usual defense that you'll see on split is you're gonna have like somebody hanging out back here, so you'll have one guy be site, right? And then you might have like one guy be heaven, and then one guy in vents, and then one guy ramp, and then maybe like one guy like A site, right? Or like maybe somewhere closer. Generally speaking, this is probably how the defense is going to be in your solo queue games, right? So if you can figure out exactly who is where, it's really good, because you never want to push 5 people into a Sage, right? And you don't want to run face first into a Raze because you're going to catch a grenade. So if you can figure out at the start of the round, it's like, okay, so we know for a fact like Sage is right here. And if they're playing a Cypher, it's usually pretty safe to assume that they're playing in B. And then at this point, there's only 3 people left on the map that we don't know where they are, right? So we have 3 characters like unaccounted for. So you want to also, so once you, by process of elimination, it's like, okay, so we know that their really strong utility is on B. So like maybe they have a Jet over here, or maybe they have like Brimstone over here, and then they have like a Phoenix and an Omen over here. So Phoenix and Omen, they can't really, they are pretty strong at pushing, but they're not really strong at defending. So it's like, hey guys, their A site is pretty weak compared to their B and their mid. So maybe we should try hitting A. It's all about process of elimination. Like you never know 100% what's going to happen throughout the rounds. But as the round progresses, you can really like kind of figure this out. Also just by like right here, like by jiggling for information. So instead of just like swinging wide like this, right, and potentially dying, one thing that you can always do is jiggle and angle. So by jiggle and angle, you can see what's going on. Also, it shows up on the map, on the mini map. If you ever see anybody by jiggle peeking, you'll see them on the mini map. So this is a safe way to get information and check. And there's other characters that also help you get a lot of information, right? So by playing Cypher, by playing Sova, all these agents that have really good utility, you can throw like a camera here, and you can check this for free, or you can shoot an arrow into A site, and it's like, hey, we know for a fact that there's one playing on site and the other guy is unknown. So then you have you decrease the angles you have to clear dramatically, right? So you can, maybe there's a guy over here, there's probably one ramp, and you're pushing in. You know there's a guy's sight, but you don't know if there's a guy to your left, so you have to check your left. But if you use utility like this, it's like, we don't know if there's anybody down here, so what if I molly this? Then I only have to check this angle, right? And then if you're pushing in, if I smoke off ramp and heaven, and then I molly under, then I only have 2 angles to worry about, right? I have to worry about this angle, and I have to worry about this angle. Right, and we know there's one on site. So finding out where enemy positioning is very important, because if we know for a fact that there's 2 people on A site, then what you might want to do instead is
Smoke's down.
You could smoke this off, and you could push up here, because we know that both players are on A site, and in your mind, right? So if we're going back to the default split hold, right, we have one person A site, we have one person like ramp over here, and then we usually have one person in vents, one person B heaven, and then one person on B site. If you see for sure, like if you have information that there are 2 people on A site, then you can think in your head, like maybe they rotated fast. That means maybe their vents person is already in heaven. So you want to check this angle, because if you're playing vents from mid, like if you're playing vents from mid and it's like, hey guys, I think they're coming A, it's like, okay, so I'm gonna rotate this way, right? Like think about which way they're gonna go. If you were them, which way would you go, right? So if you're playing vents and you know that someone usually plays vents for like the past 4 rounds, it's like, okay, so he's probably gonna be on my left here. I check, he's not here, so he's either hiding down there or he could be right here. He's not here, I'm gonna keep moving, he's right here. And if he's not in any of these spots, you immediately need to consider, it's like, okay, where could this guy be right now? So we know for sure that there are
right here
1, 2 people on A site, and there's 3 people unaccounted for. So it's very, very, very possible that there's a guy right here. Boom. He's not here. That's super weird, right? That's super strange. Where could this guy possibly be? Right? So unless this guy rotated all the way from vents to CT, all the way around over here, unless he ran a circle all the way around, where do you guys think he went? Right? This is like an application of game sense. Like, where do you guys think this guy could have gone? Let's see. Sewer screens, CT, sewers, exactly, right? So then you have to think about your team, right? Your team positioning. It's like, hey, when we were attacking A, did we have 5 people A, or did we have people mid watching the flank? If there was nobody mid at all, then it's like, oh, it's extremely possible that this player decided to push down mid, right? Because he checked this angle, there's nobody here, and we had nobody watching the flank. It's very possible that he could have pushed mid, right? So if this guy's like nowhere to be found and you've cleared everything, then you have to think in your head, like, if I was this guy, like, where could you possibly have gone? But if he is not flanking, that means he rotated all the way around to CT, right? But like, if you check all of this and you, like, for example, you don't even have to check this. As soon as you get up to here and you don't see anybody here immediately in your head, you should be thinking, all right, this guy could be flanking. There's a possibility of a flank, right? Is it possible to know where everyone is at all times? It is possible. Not everybody at all times, but a majority of the players, most of the time you can. So what I'm gonna do, I wish there was a way I could jump into a game and have time left over. Let's see. Can you play a match and commentate through? Yes, I definitely can. But what I'm probably gonna end up doing is that so for the play with pros part, I'm probably gonna I'm gonna have 4 of you guys join me and we're gonna play an unrated game. Or maybe we could do it 5-on-5. And then I could probably like commentate my thought process the whole way. Or maybe you can do unrated. But these are all things you want to consider, right? And it's especially difficult on a map like Haven when there's 3 sites. But like you might think it's very difficult, but actually it's a little easier to kind of figure out because the resources are going to be spread more thin on a bigger map, right? So when you see somebody, then you can generally find out where everyone else is, because the map being larger is bad for the CT side. Because that means it's even more predictable for where people are.
You have me. That is good for you.
So Haven is a map that you also, like, you really need to consider, like, the possibility of a flank being, like, very, very strong. Hang on, let me, turn on cheats. You guys would be down to join? Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, so we're gonna do, a 5v5 custom match, and then the whole time I'm probably gonna commentate my thought process and tell you guys pretty much exactly what's going on in my head. And let's see if I'm like right most of the time, right? So I do play on NA servers, so anybody that's on NA and like around like 10 or 12 minutes, we can jump into a game together, okay?
Wherever they run, I will find them. My ult is ready.
Okay, so what is just a comment, just a question for chat, right? Like, I want to be a little interactive. I want to get you guys kind of thinking on Haven defense, right? If I was CT on Haven, what do you guys think like the default defense setup is? Like, how many people per site? Like, where do you think people are going to be usually? Just like very general. Obviously, it might change from game to game, but just like most of the time, like 90% of the time, what do you guys think is going to happen? Right, exactly, right? So most of the time, you're going to have 2 on A, you're going to have 1 on B site, you're going to have 1 person in garage, right, like in window usually, and you're going to have 1 person C, right? So 2-1-1-1 is a pretty like normal setup. This is what you're going to see 90% of your games on Haven in just like a normal setting, right? So, do you know why we do this? Do you know why people usually put 2 on A site and they don't put 2 on B site, for example? And the reason for that is the way the sites are set up. So if you see for C specifically, there are
Right
1,
here.
2,
Right
3
here.
entries into site, which means that as a CT, it's easy. Like it's just, I mean, not even the entries. Like there's 3 angles you can attack from, because the rotation, like for example, if 5 people went up C long and I wanted to flank them, this would take 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi. So it would take 8 seconds for you to flank from garage to C long. So C is very easy to retake because of the way the map is set up and how easy it is to flank. And what about B site, right? So B site, if you have 1 person on B site and you lose site, then what do you have? You have 2 people from A
Right
site,
here.
and you have 2 people
Right here.
from garage and C that can come and pincer them together, right? So this is also a really fast rotation, right? So if I'm coming from C site, if I'm playing back here spotting long, and it's like, hey guys, they're hitting B, they're hitting B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 seconds, and I'm here on B site, right? It's a really fast rotation. So what about A site, right? If I'm playing B, like this is the fastest rotation. If I'm playing B, and they're like, oh, 5 people hitting A. 5 people are coming up A long right now. So I'm like, okay, let me flank. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 seconds to come and help people on the flank. Not to mention that the angles are very difficult, because if you're playing on CT, you can play like these gimmicky like 1-off angles. Like this is like a 1-for-1 angle, right? Like at most you can probably kill 1 person and then you're probably gonna die. Yeah, and also you're not gonna be sprinting, right? If you're flanking, you're gonna be shift walking the whole way, and most likely not with your knife out unless you're a maniac, right? So you'd be checking angles and you'd have your gun out, so you'd be moving even slower. So just think about how long the rotation would be. Not to mention, if you wanted to retake A site, if you wanted to retake A site, just look at this tiny little choke, right? There's only one way in, like pretty much one way in, one way out, right? Because like there's probably not going to be a player here, but like if you're peeking this, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 angles to check. It's really terrifying, right? Like this is such a dangerous choke way to funnel through, because there's only one way in, and there's like so many people that could be holding this. There could be a guy here, there could be a guy here, there could be a guy right here, there could be someone hiding under heaven, which most of the time there is. Just the way the site is set up, it's really difficult. So in your head immediately, you want to be thinking that it's like, okay, so A is really hard to take, it's also really hard to retake. So they're gonna have the most people on A site, and if you want to take this site, it's like, okay, what do we need to think about, right? It's like, oh, if they have a Sage and a Cypher on A site is closed, right? Most of the time, like if you know for a
I
fact,
have the spike.
if they have 5 players and we see their Sage and their Cypher, just for example, they're hiding on A site, it's like, okay, probably not, like you probably don't want to go A, because they're gonna wall us, they're gonna slow us, we're gonna hit a tripwire, we're gonna have to run through a cage, they're gonna have cameras, they're gonna rotate fast. Like it's really gonna suck, right? So it's like, okay, so we know their strongest utility is on A. Maybe we can go B, because it's like for just like throughout the game, if I'm playing Sova and I shoot an arrow on the site,
Revealing area.
I'm just like, oh look, a Brimstone is right here. Wow, their Brimstone is here. He doesn't have much utility to stop a push, so it's like, hey guys, let's push B, and we kill the Brimstone, and then we only have to worry about right here, and potentially a flank, right? Any guesses on the new game mode? The new game mode is probably gonna be some kind of gun game thing I heard of. It's like I think you start with like a classic, and then you'll get like a ghost, and then you'll like upgrade through the weapons as it goes, and I think you end with a knife or something like that. Say one guy's at A, he spots 5 guys. Is the best plan to have your whole team go through spawn? No. So if you see 5 people, if I'm playing on A side defense, right, and I peek this, and I see 5 people sprinting at me, what does that mean for the map, right? That means that there's nobody anywhere else on the map, which means that you definitely should be pushing up, right? If you see literally even 4 people, if you see 4 people, they're at most is 1 person unaccounted for. He could be here, could be here, could be here, could be anywhere, right? But like, you're gonna want to send like 2 or 3 people flanking, probably 2, no more than 2. We want to send 2 people on the flank together so we can like find this last guy, or even just push through. So when they slam, you're gonna have people coming from over here and people coming from over here, because the success rate of a retake, if you have people coming from multiple angles, is like 30 to 40% higher than if everybody was funneling through CT. Having somebody on the flank is like really, really valuable. Do I prefer Phantom or Vandal? It depends on the day, depending on the map, and depending on what site I'm playing. Like if I'm playing a site with like close quarters, like A for example, like most of these angles are pretty close. Like I think this is just outside of 1-shot headshot range, but this is like really good because everything from here, to here is a 1-tap. So if they come short, boom, 1 bullet, that's a 1-tap, right? That's a headshot. The most important thing is peeking from different angles and in the same time. Yes, exactly. So the thing about retaking a site, or even just taking a site in general, is that you want to converge together so that the enemy team has to look at different things at the same time, because you can only shoot one thing at a time, right? If I get peeked from here and here at the same time, I can't just like, that's not a thing, right? That's not a thing. I can't just do this. I have to kill this guy, and I'm probably gonna die to this guy right here. So in the same way, if I'm playing like retake, right? If I have the bomb planted, if the bomb is planted and I'm holding this, I can only watch this, which means that I might get shot in the back of the head if they flank, right? That's why flanking is good, because if you come at the same time, it's like, oh man, there's a guy heaven, I have to hide here, but I also have to watch CT, and there could be a guy flanking, right? There's so many angles if you have a flanker. What rank am I? I'm rank Valorant. Currently I'm Immortal 3. I haven't played ranked in a while, so it stopped showing my rank, and then when I won a game, it put me down to Immortal 3. But I'll be back to Valorant today, actually. I'll be back to Valorant like in like a few hours. I'll probably be grinding some rank later. Should be fake the plant to peek a guy that we knew he was in sight. If you know there's a guy really close by, you should probably go for a fake plant.
My quiver is never full.
How do you decide what site to push? So let me go over that real quick. Also, so another thing you want to consider is that if I am playing C long, like if I want to peek this long angle, then like I probably want to have a Vandal, right? Because you want the 1-tap headshot at this range. Because it's really possible that this guy could be opping, or he could also just kill you. So to give yourself the best chance at killing this guy at a long range, you want to have the 1-shot headshot with him. Because what if you dink him and then he kills you? That would be a really feels bad, man. But usually how you decide what site to push is if you guys like spread out, or if you guys have information. If you guys have information that it's like, okay, so I peek this, or like I shoot an arrow.
Revealing area.
Or if I hear a cypher camera, like you can hear cypher cameras and you can hear cypher traps being set up. So it's like, okay, so I hear a cypher here. So we know that their cypher is soloing C long. And it's like, okay, so there's one person C long, and then my teammates on the other side of the map are like, hey guys, like there's Sage, or sometimes maybe if they don't comm, right? They probably won't comm. So this is why it's important to have your mini map as big as possible, because so you can see exactly what's going on, right? Because maybe your teammate makes contact and it's like, oh, so I see their Sage and Brimstone are playing on A. So what do they have? They have smokes, they have a molly, they have slow arrows, and they also have slow orbs, and they also have a wall. So if I were to run up A long as 5 people, we will get walled off and we will get slow orbed. So unless you guys plan on baiting out some other utility, or if you see their Sage waste some utility, right? If their Sage walls really, really early, and she wastes both of her slow orbs, then that means that Sage is pretty much useless, right? That means she doesn't have any more util to stop a push. So if you see that the Sage has no wall and no slow orbs, then you want to push the site that the Sage is on. If you see that your teammate broke all of the Cypher's traps and they killed his camera, then you want to push the site that the Cypher is on. If Brimstone uses his molly in all 3 of his smokes, then you want to push the site that Brimstone is on, right? Like, you want to go where you have the best chances for success, and the best chance for that is the site where they have the least utility. So unfortunately, the timer is a little bit unfortunate, but because I stopped the timer at the wrong time, but it is right about the time that we're gonna go into the play with pro session. So we're gonna do a 5-on-5 in-house, and the whole time I'm gonna be commenting my thought process, my game sense, and things. We can maybe play. We did bind on Tuesday, so maybe we can do Haven today. So if you guys would like to add me and get into this lobby, we are playing on NA. My tagline is orbit space rye. The hashtag is 0001. So I will if somebody can type that in chat, that'd be great. You have to play the whole game. Ideally, it would be nice if you could play the whole game just so it's fair to everyone else that's playing. How do we join? You can add me. My tag is orbit space rye 0001 right here on the screen. Can I give a Cypher tip? If they destroy your traps and your cameras, you want to try to reposition them in different spots. So I want you to start the beginning of the rounds with really aggressive cameras, and then as they start breaking them and they start like learning where your positions are, you want to progressively like move them further back in the site, because there's only 12 rounds, right? So first off, maybe like pistol round or something, you can put your cameras like really, really aggressive, right? You can put them really aggressive. If you're playing like bind or something, you can put your cameras like all the way like up on B long, or you can put them like inside of bathrooms, and then as they find out like where you put your cameras, you can move them back progressively. And also like play aggressive with your smokes, right? Like the Cypher traps are really good for doing like potential outplays and stuff if you want to play like right behind them or even inside of them. There's lots of chances. Oops, I accidentally removed N Lester as a friend. Sorry about that. Somebody just happened to log on as I was clicking the invite button. What is my main? I play Sova. Sova is my main. If you like low to mid elo games have similar bad habits that set up for loss, not trading kills, not betting utility, not enough comms, not setting up a default as attackers. Right, so these are things like if you have the game sense, if you like take into account all these things that I'm telling you guys, then you can also apply this into your own games, which will increase your win rate for yourself, right? Because you can use this information and you can communicate to your own team to give yourself the best chance at success, right? So unfortunately, the lobby is full. I apologize to, I think, N Lester. I accidentally removed you as a friend. If we're doing one more after this, I will make sure to have you in. Can you give us some nice eSpots? I might do a separate video in collaboration with ProGuides about having, like doing
I will find them.
all the arrows. Like, I'm going to do like as many arrow spots as I possibly can. I accepted you but didn't invite. Oh, I'm sorry, man. There's just so many people that want to play. I'll try to get you in the next session as soon as possible. Can I rewatch it somewhere? Yes. So the VOD will be saved on the website. It will be uploaded separately, I believe, in I think like around like 12 hours. Not sure when that's gonna happen, but the video will be available. Do I have any idea what is gonna be coming tomorrow? I am not sure, Max. The game will be released June 2nd, so just about like a week and a half. Am I gonna play or spectate?
There is
I'm
no
actually gonna
retreat.
play this
Not
one
when
out.
annihilation
So,
is at stake. This is our day.
I am going to talk through my entire thought process and try to give you guys an insight into my mind when I play this game, right? Let's just give you guys an insight of my game sense. Because compared to other like Valorant players, I will say that my aim is pretty good, but it's not the best, right? But I definitely get to higher ranks by using my game sense. So right off the bat, I see that they have a Jet, a Sova, a Phoenix, a Sage, and a Cypher. So I want to find out where they're playing. So what I'm gonna do right now is that I'm gonna shoot an arrow down C long and try to see who's playing on C site.
Revealing area.
So I found out that their
Sage is
Cypher is on C, and my teammate just calmed to me that the Sage is on A. I see that the Phoenix is in garage, double doors right now.
Phoenix is in garage.
So what does that leave? That leaves Sova and Jet, right? So Sova is either playing A or B, and we don't know for sure. So let's try to find out.
Take flight.
Phoenix dead.
I don't see anyone in B side.
So we're gonna clear out B site. So we see that their Jet is on B site, which means that their Sova is A. So that means Sova and Sage are A, right? And Jet is back site. So I'm gonna shoot another arrow to check.
Our spike revealing area.
And somebody flanked, unfortunately,
Found
which I was
them.
actually just about to call out. So I believe the
I have
Sage
the
is
spike.
close. I think she's hiding in a corner somewhere. Their Cypher seems to have left C site. He's in garage, so I'm gonna take this time to run up C long. Let's
I
go
hear
see,
someone
guys.
walking towards our spawn from A site.
30 seconds left.
There's a Sova push in our spawn.
Spike planted.
So the Cypher that was just in CT died. So we know that their Jet was on B side, so she's probably very close. We know that their Cypher, their Sova is flanking as well as their Sage. Not sure where they could be. They're probably gonna come from long. I just heard somebody in CT, which is probably the Jet. She's right here, around this corner. Yep, see, that's the Jet.
Last player standing.
So I know that Jet is right here, right in front of me. And the last two are probably flanking.
Revealing
C-long,
area.
right here. See, I didn't get the kill, but I knew exactly where the last two players were, right? You want to use these things, like, you always want to, like, think about, like, where everybody is.
Take out Cypher's
So because
cameras.
the
He's
last two
weak when he's
people
blind.
were seen flanking, and I was holding in garage, and I didn't see them. I didn't hear them in CT or anything. Then the only place they could possibly be is coming from C long, right? So process of elimination. It's hard to play when you're saying everything you're doing. It's a little harder to play. Yeah, it is a little harder when I'm saying everything, because usually everything that goes on in my head is just,
Enemy spotted.
it's just like quiet, right? Because I usually just think about it.
C site.
So we saw their
Cypher,
Sova and
guys.
Sage are playing on A again. They both played A long, so it's really safe to assume that their Jet is probably somewhere on
Revealing area.
B site. So she's not on the left side, so she's probably
Someone might
close
flank
right.
from C.
So just to see if I'm right or not, I'm pretty sure she's right here. Yep,
Down.
exactly. So their Cypher just activated their trap, and he's gonna rotate because we got a kill. So there's pretty sure, like 90% sure, there's nobody on C site right now. So there should be nobody on C right now if we go. Oh, one person there.
There's a Cypher on.
Let's go. I'm with you. He's on logs, so we know he's right here backside. So I'm gonna shoot an arrow
Revealing
and
area.
plant the bomb.
Cypher and
Found
Sova,
them.
CT.
So Cypher, Sova, or
Spike
CT.
planted.
We don't know where the Sage is, so she's probably flanking.
Precision.
One enemy
So the
remaining.
last one is probably flanking. Oh, maybe not. So she's in garage.
He's in garage window.
So I'm gonna hold an off angle there. So she actually pushed through and came through mid. So she was flanking. She pushed through A and came through window and went to garage. So she was flanking. So instead of going with a stinger, I'm actually just gonna upgrade to a vandal this game.
I'm buying.
It's also really weird that whenever I stream on YouTube, my FPS drops to like 100. So let's find out if Sage and Sova are both still there. Also, another thing you want to consider when thinking about enemy
Revealing
positioning
area.
is their economy. So I hit tab and I noticed that they have 3 full buys and 2 half buys. So they're probably going to
Replaces
force.
camera and C site.
They're probably forced. If they're not forced, they are
Cypher and C.
probably.
Sage is B.
So Sage is B. So let's go A, guys. Let's go A.
We might get
So
flanked
we know that their
from
Sage
C.
is on
Yeah, Phoenix in garage.
B, which means that the Jet is probably here, which she is. She is currently
Silver's
short.
still on A. I mean Jet's A.
Revealing area.
I'll watch flank.
Die. No chance. Spike planted.
Do I recommend breaking the door shields when possible? Yes, I definitely do. So we see Sage is in
Deploying
CT.
drone.
The Phoenix is... They walled themselves off. So that means that they're all going heaven. So that means there's 2 or 3 of them heaven. The Cypher just used his utility.
Chuck that.
So if I were to get into a good angle, actually, which I don't even need
One
to.
enemy remaining.
Nice. So the last one is CT because we hear him breaking the Sage wall, right? So he flashed,
He's done.
which means he swings out, and that means we know he's there. Because if a Phoenix flashes, it's usually pretty safe to assume that he's gonna swing out right away with the flashbang. So you want to aim like in the area that he's gonna walk out into, instead of like really close to the door, right? When should you buy your abilities? You should buy your abilities whenever possible,
There.
because abilities will help you win rounds, especially the really important ones.
I'm gonna place the camera down here.
So if we know that their Sage moved off of A site, that means that they have
You better run.
a Sova and a Jet on A site, which means that their A site hold is really weak, right? So if we find out where their strong utility is playing,
Revealing area.
we go where their weak utility is. So we just saw their Sova
There they
fire
are.
an
Jets
arrow.
and C site. Jets and C.
Okay. So right now, what information do I have? Sage flanked. There's 3 on C, 2 on C, 1 in garage, 1 probably. The Sova was on B, so I know exactly where their entire team is. So that position,
Bullseye.
not position, sorry. That subject to change. I just heard one close mid.
There's a Phoenix C site.
So I know this guy like, actually no, he's on my left.
Clean.
So A should be clear right now. So I'm gonna run knife out because I'm 85% certain that there's absolutely nobody on A unless I got timing really, really, really hard. So I'm just gonna plant because I'm so confident in my own intuition that they are not here. That I'm just gonna stick the plant.
Take flight.
And I'm going to drone for information to try to find out where they're coming from. So there's Sova's here. Cypher called that one is
Last
flanking,
player standing.
Cypher and spawn.
which he is. This guy is going heaven. So I'm gonna flank this guy heaven, and I know that the Cypher is coming from behind us.
One enemy remaining.
Recon. Revealing area. I am the hunter.
So
Never
because I
give up.
know where everyone is exactly, it's a really easy clutch. Well, not really easy. You still have to hit your shots, right? But
Injured dog bites hard.
by knowing exactly where everyone is on the map, then I can make the right decision to win the round, right? Like, I make it look pretty easy, I think, but it's, there's a lot of things that have to, like, go through your head to, like, make these plays and stuff. Valorant tier arrow? Shut up, Peanut. I was doing a jiggle peek and I ended up catching the wall, but I ended up working out because I spotted him with the arrow anyway. So right here, I see that their Silva is back on A. He just threw a double bounce arrow, which means he's really deep,
There's
long.
no one in the front of B site. They might be in the back.
There could be someone pushing A short. We're not sure. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just chuck an arrow short.
Revealing area.
I'm gonna chuck a short range arrow to see if he's pushed up. So he's not pushed up, which means that he's probably on the corner. If he's not on the corner, he could be behind this little double box right here. My teammate just smoked it off, which is a little weird, which makes it a little inconvenient for us, but make do. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna just. So their Cypher is here too.
Cypher is here.
So we killed their flanker. Let's go see. Let's go see. That was their C pusher. So C site should be open right now. So Cypher rotated off of A.
I know exactly where you are.
Cypher rotated off of A, and their Sage pushed through C, which means that there's nobody on C site right now. There's gonna be somebody in CT in around 3 seconds. If I arrow now, I should see somebody in CT. No, so they're slow to rotate. So there's nobody close to us yet.
30 seconds left.
So we know that their Phoenix is in double doors. He just died. I'm gonna play close to this smoke and see if I can hear anything. Just for information, see if I can figure out where everyone is. I had a pretty strong feeling that the guy was gonna push through smoke, so I decided to push. So I'm gonna change my position. I know there's one in garage.
One enemy remaining.
The last one is flanking C long.
It was you or me.
One thing I will say about having your teammates like insta-lock people is that you should never think that the game is lost because you have a bad team composition, or that like, oh, like we lost pistol round, or like we lost like 5 or 6 rounds, like, oh, like the game is lost. No, the game is always winnable. But the important thing is that you want to learn all of these things so that you can increase the chance of you playing really well. Because the better you play, the better your chance has. The better team, like your team has a better chance of succeeding, right?
Spike drop.
So I'm gonna drop bombs so I don't accidentally die. I'm gonna look at their buy, so they're on.
Cypher and Jet.
So they don't have enough money to buy an op. So I'm just gonna dry peek this and see what's going on. So their Cypher was called in garage. I killed their Phoenix that usually plays in garage, so I know that he's gonna be close, right? Their Jet is there too, so I'm gonna assume that their Cypher is like right here. He's not. If he's not behind this box right here, that means he's back sight. So he is back sight somewhere. Unfortunately, I kind of lagged right there. So he called Cypher in garage, and he has a camera on site, so that means that he's very close. And if he's not in any of the predictable spots, that means by process of elimination, he's gonna be back here, right?
Sad fool standing in our way.
Okay, so unfortunately, I'm like lagging pretty hard right now. How should you play against an op? If you know that the enemy team even has the possibility of having an op, you don't want you don't want to dry peek them. 2, you want to try to predict where they're gonna play. So, if they have an op on Haven, where could they peek? Most likely, they're gonna peek C long, or potentially they could peek A long. If they're better players, they could be doing like a one-way over here. They could be on top of the box if they're a Jet, or a Raze, or an Omen. Or if they're a Sage, they could boost up on B site. These are all really unlikely, but it's very possible. And it's also possible that he could be opping in C window. So immediately, if you think, oh, they have an op, you check their money. Who has been opping usually? Like, who is usually opping on their team? Oh, their Jet is usually opping. So what angles should you keep in mind for a Jet that's opping? It's like, oh, she could be on top of C site box. She could be in a lot of places,
I destroyed the Cypher's camp.
So I'm running A site because I think A is open. How about Heaven A? Definitely a really strong possibility. Definitely very, very strong possibility. So I am 100% confident that there's nobody on A site. So I'm gonna push out for information here. So I'm gonna hide and spawn because if I hear a guy coming from B site,
one enemy
I'll
remaining.
be able to kill him.
Three
for free.
gone.
So here I'm gonna switch my angle up a little bit. Their jet was mid, so I just heard her dash from B site, so I know she's like right here. Like if X-ray was on, she's right there. She's coming to clear me out of heaven, so instead of playing in heaven,
Last player standing.
so I believe she's clearing me out of heaven right now. She doesn't know I jumped out yet. Yeah, she's pushing through her smokes into heaven right now.
Get out of my way.
She's gonna jump out of this window in like 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Just like that. Great.
Why are they so determined to die?
So because she knows I'm in heaven, right? Because I killed the guy CT, and she knows that I'm in heaven, and then she killed my guy's site and didn't push site immediately. I hear her using her smokes, which means that she's probably trying to push through her smokes into heaven. And just by the amount of time that's left in the round for the bomb to explode, the only way she can get onto site is through heaven, right? So by process of elimination and like kicking out positioning, I pretty much have wall hacks. So I know their Sova is here, and their A players really like to push. So their jet pushed up mid. So if I peek here in around 3 seconds, I should catch a flanker in 3, 2, 1. Yep. So I knew that he was there, but I missed my shot.
Last player standing. Flawless.
Cypher, just tell me where they are. I'll do the rest.
See, these are things that you want to consider, right? Because I, like, for the past, we've played 8 rounds so far. Maybe like 4 rounds out of 8, they've been pushing A. So I know that they have a tendency to push A. So if we have a lot of people showing mid, and that the enemy team knows that we have a lot of people mid, then there's like a really high % chance that they're pushing through A, right? So I'm looking at their money. The person with the most money is their Sage, but she had a rifle last round, so it's rather unlikely that they are opping. And if they are opping, they're probably not opping C because their Sage isn't there. I think that was a jet that I saw. Not sure, so I'm gonna check. Who was that?
There they are.
It's a Phoenix.
Sofa mid window.
Okay, we're not gonna talk about that. So I see that their
Sage
Sage
flanking
pushed
again.
through again.
Enemy spotted.
So 1 garage, 1 mid, Sage flanking. C site should be open. C site should be open, guys. So I'm so confident that there's nobody on C site that I'm just gonna walk up. I hear one coming from CT. He's probably walking like right here, so I'm gonna walk
There's
over
a
here.
Cypher in our spawn.
So he came over here and left. I heard him close by, so I think he's in garage. He's not in garage, so he could have timed me
30
really hard
seconds left.
and crossed the site.
Last player standing.
So this is a weird position for me. So Sova and Sage are oh no, Sage died.
Clean.
So they pushed through A, so I'm gonna plant for the A side of the map. I'm gonna play right here. Oh.
Spike plant.
So I just heard one pushing A short. He came back up A short, so that means he's
One enemy
CT.
remaining.
And the Sova was C long.
3 gone.
So he probably pushed through C long. He might come through garage right here, or he might come through mid. Those are the only 2 possibilities that are realistic. If he comes from somewhere else, it'll be interesting. So he should be coming out of garage in 3, 2, 1. No, he's not. So that means he probably came up mid, which means he's on site on the box. No, so he... Where's he going? So I'm gonna die to bomb, but that's okay. Because I just want to confirm that I have the one. I want to make sure that I have the round 1, right? Why am I close peeking instead of staying further away from the wall for better peeker's advantage? By holding off angles. By holding off angles, it's more unpredictable. If I play like a predictable angle, there's a high chance that you're gonna get pre-fired, or that the enemy is already gonna have their crosshair on your head, right? So if I'm holding A push, if I play this is a pretty predictable angle, right? But if I play like this, they're not gonna expect me on an off angle. Couldn't you have watched bomb from A? I could have, but I wanted to play an off angle. I wanted to play where they weren't gonna expect me. Because if I plant the bomb for A and play the bomb, like where they think I'm gonna play, it just makes me very predictable,
Got
right?
Sage.
So I know that their Sage just pushed A short, and that their other player usually likes to push too. So it's
Deploying
very
drone.
likely that their Sova is behind this box or
Just
somewhere
Sova
else.
and B side.
So Sova's on B
Phoenix
site.
C site.
Phoenix is on C, which means that their Cypher is probably here. Oh, the Jet is here. Interesting.
Oh, Jet's here.
So she's right here. 'Cause I heard her reload. So that's unlucky. I missed my shot. That's fine. But I should have I also could have commented to my team that it's like, hey guys, I think you go A because there's only one person on A there. So unfortunately, we lost the bomb C. We know that the Jet was on A. She could flank.
Shadows traveling.
Why do I have corpses off? I have
30
corpses off because
seconds
it does help your FPS by a little bit without all the bodies on the ground. Plus, it's easier to see who is dead by having like a little hologram coin on the ground showing exactly who's dead. It also makes it easier as a Cypher player to see red versus blue, like enemy versus friendly, to know who to use your ulti on. And it also makes it easier to see who to
10
res
seconds
when you're
left.
playing Sage. I think it's just easier in general because it's easier to see who's dead from what team.
Last player standing.
Just save.
Watching this makes me think I should do more VOD reviewing. VOD review is really good.
Their backs will be
It's really
towards at least
beneficial
one of us.
for yourself and also for your team. So I recommend if you want to improve, it'll be, by the way, if you guys want to have like individual coaching from myself or other ProGuides coaches, you can go to ProGuides.com, and there's options for in-game spectating or VOD review. If you want the most, not only value, but you want the most productivity and the most information, I would recommend going over like pre-recorded footage. So if you can record gameplay and show it to your coach, and you guys can go over it together. That's probably the
Sage
most useful
Sage
way
and B side.
Stay
to
down.
learn. Is the Pro Guides things paid? Yeah, so the coaches charge different rates. They usually are anywhere from $10 to $20 for a coaching session. There's also these free classes that we do every so often, so if you just want to stick around for that, it's also a great way to learn. So, what do we know so far? Their Sage is dead B. I think
Jet is A again.
we know that their Jet is short A. Sova's B site because he just threw an arrow. Their Cypher is
Sova,
unknown.
probably an A side.
So Sova's
Sova and
in.
A side. Sova and A.
B is clear. B and C are clear. So we know that the last two players are on A, so I'm going to take a really aggressive angle here. Because they're going to rotate through CT. And they just saw me on B site, so they're probably not going to expect me in CT.
One
So he's going to
enemy
have his knife
remaining.
out, because I know that he's probably not going to expect
Three
me.
gone.
And now that we know their Jet is short A, we know she just triggered she triggered a trap, so she's flanking. So she's probably going to take a shortcut instead of running all the way around a C long to double doors right here. Yep, she's right here. So she's walking up mid right now. She's on B site.
She's going through CT.
So she has no time, so she's going into garage.
Last player standing.
She's come out this door in 3. Yep.
Last round in the half.
Spend everything.
Why did you peek long if they had an op? Isn't that risky? So I looked at the money and I found I had an idea that their op player is their Cypher, and that their Cypher hasn't been on C site in a really, really long time. So it's very unlikely that he's C long, because for the past like 5 rounds, I think he's been playing their Cypher has been playing garage or A. Do I come from CS:GO? Yes, I do. So I have like 4,000 hours in CS:GO.
Sova and A.
Their Phoenix has been playing C, so I'm gonna
Revealing
try to find
area.
out where he is with the recon arrow.
Found them.
See, so Phoenix is right there. He's in the back of the site. So I am actually gonna go for an ultimate kill here.
Take flight.
So I know that he's behind the sight box. He's right here.
I am the hunter.
Sova's still in A.
So that's okay that I don't get a kill, but I scare him off, which means that we can walk up on site. So 2 people garage. A is clear. A is clear. They're rotating B site right now.
One enemy
Last
remaining.
one's on B site, rotating towards A, I think. Oh no, he's over there.
Mid window.
So what did I just hear? I'm pretty sure I just heard him jump down into garage. Yep, so he's coming right here. 3, 2, 1.
No one escapes my sight.
So audio cues are also really important too, right? Because if I hear where he's going, I can predict where he's going.
Switching sides.
Good. Let's do better.
I'm gonna watch C.
I got A.
Your game sense is insane. Thank you. I appreciate that. So that's what I keep. That's another thing that I keep saying is that my aim is not as strong as a lot of really,
I have
really,
vision on
really
small.
insane players in Valorant. But using my game sense, I have a really big advantage, right? Because I don't need the best aim in the world. If I can think about where everyone is, and I can have these like pretty much wall hacks that give me an advantage, right? How do you react to your team has a bad composition? You just sometimes, especially in solo queue, you just gotta make do with what you got. Like,
Revealing area.
you're not always gonna have the best team composition because that's just the way it is. So I just arrowed down mid, and there's nobody there. There's like 5 of them pushing A. One of them's watching flank.
On target.
Precision here.
Spike planted. One enemy remaining.
Nice.
Bullseye.
So because I arrowed down window and there's nobody mid, and my teammate made contact A,
It is over.
I pushed up mid because I knew it was safe because I wanted to get a fast flank off. So that's a situation where you want to flank, right? Because you know that there's nobody mid. Your
supposed
player
to be
in
fighting
garage
back,
also
right?
pushed up, so there's nobody holding mid. Now, there could be somebody C, and there could be somebody in T-spawn, right? But based on audio cues, when I heard that there were a ton of people in A, I could infer that
Anyone
there's
need something?
probably nobody behind us. If there is, it's really unlucky. I'd rather just go for the 1 or 2 kills on the people that are pushing onto site. And if I die to the guy behind us, that's okay, right? That's worth the risk. Is there something apart from just playing to improve my game sense? So I'm giving you guys I'm giving you guys like a baseline of what to consider and what to think about as the game progresses. But the best way to improve your game sense is by just playing a lot of games, like putting a lot of hours into this game and just applying these things all the time, right? Like throughout all of your games, like every round or as much as you possibly can. Think about these things, and then soon enough, this stuff will become second nature for you guys, right?
I think there's a Sage pushing C.
So I hear 1 in garage.
Sova and
So there's
Silence.
2 in garage. 3 in garage. So their Cypher is still here. He's probably hiding close left right here.
One enemy remaining.
Their their
Last
Cypher
player
is
standing.
bottom of garage. Nice round. Beautiful.
right.
Always question why you died, how you got flanked, why you lost. Exactly. So
Tried to stay
there's
safe
always
there,
something
but-
that you can do better. One thing I want you guys to take away from this is that game sense is something that you kind of develop as by playing the game, and one thing that you can always improve on is think about what you did wrong. Like, don't think about like, oh, like your team, like 3 of your teammates died mid right away, right? It's like, okay, that happens. That's just the way that ranked games work. Your team sometimes will throw. Like, that's just the way it is. But instead of like, oh no, like this game sucks, like ah god, like we're gonna lose this game, think about, oh, like what could I have done better? Like in this situation, when so-and-so died here and I know that this person is here, maybe I could have done this better to get more kills, right? What do I like the Bulldog? I'm not the biggest fan of the Bulldog. It's just because it's the only thing that my current economy allows me to buy. So I'm going to buy it. So Sage is here. I'm going to hold an off angle. She's going to peek me. No, so she's falling back. She's running into window. There's one in garage window. She's going to be flanking.
One enemy remaining.
Last one is outside of there, so I'm going to go ahead and take an aggressive angle here. You should be coming right here in unknown. Nice, good round.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
When should one watch the mini-map?
Match point.
So,
Them to sleep.
the mini-map is going to be tougher to get into the habit of, because like for a lot of like first time FPS players, or just like people that aren't like super experienced in general, I think that League players are definitely going to have an advantage, because League players get into the habit of checking their mini-map every so often, right? I would try to glance at your mini-map, or like look at your mini-map whenever you're not doing anything productive, right? So right now on C, I'm staring at a wall, right? Because my job here is to jiggle peek long. So when I'm not jiggle peeking long, I'm looking at, I'm pretty much like, I'm staring at my mini-map right now. So I see that my Omen smoked deep mid. He teleported into the smoke. There's nobody there. My teammates just made contact with 2 people on A, and there's one up A short. So I'm gonna rotate now.
It's a short push.
I know exactly where you are. I am the hunter! Revealing area.
One enemy remaining. Ace.
Nice.
Defenders
Good job.
win.
GG's, boys.
Let's go.
That was a great ace, man. Okay, so I think we have time for one more game, actually. So I'm probably going to try to cycle through the lobbies and see if we can get some different people in. So I'm actually going to leave this one. And I'm going to try to get some like new people in here. We're going to do a different map as well. We're going to do Split. What's my least favorite map? Probably Split, man. So Ant FN. I'm gonna try to fill the lobby with new people first. So let's see if Ant FN wants to play. It's currently in a custom. Jay Borgor. And Lester. We'll get Wendy's in here. He's in a custom. Let's see if Harsh wants to play. And Turfs. Is Turf still online? Turfs is here. What rank am I? I'm currently I'm Immortal 3 because I haven't played in so long. I played 3 ranked games and I dropped down to Immortal 3. I was Valorant though for the past like 3 or 4 weeks. I will be getting Valorant back sometime today. What's my username? My username is OrbitRye0001. I'm Iron 3. Can I join? Yeah, anybody is welcome to join, guys. Anybody and everybody is welcome to join. Frost Roads. Are you going to do these streams again after global release? Because it'll be easier to understand while playing the game. I probably will be trying to do this again after the game launches for sure. Okubisho. So at this point, anyone else that wants to join is also welcome to request. Anyone that was in the last game and wants to play again. Harsh. Let's see if Harsh wants to join. I already invited him. Do I stream on Twitch? I do. I will be plugging my Twitch and socials in later. Let's see if Sova So Good wants to play. Latro is here. Ledvin? Ah, so Ledvin. So I'm playing on NA, so people from EU can't join, unfortunately. I see that your tag is EU West, so unfortunately we cannot play together. Sorry about that, buddy. Okay, so we have another full lobby. Let's do it, boys. Let's run it back. Play Jet, please, or play Raze? I'd be happy to play some Raze. How did your Omen play last game? Omen played pretty well.
Yes, I'm pumped.
Any quick tips? As far as game sense goes, quick tips. Always check enemy economy. If they have low money, they're probably going to push. If they have a lot of money, they're probably not going to push. But you also want to keep in mind, have they been pushing before or have they not been pushing? Like, are they prone to flanking or are they not really? Because if they've been flanking for 4 rounds out of 8, it's a 50% chance that they're going to flank again, right? So you want to consider these things. How do you load a map on custom to learn map? Oh, so you can just hit custom game and then on the map drop down, you can just select whatever map you want, and then you can pretty much just hit start right away, like just by yourself. It'll say like the lobby's not full. Is that okay? You can just hit yes. Any tips for me? I was the enemy Phoenix last game. If you're playing Phoenix, try not to peek without flashing. So sometimes you challenge me C long without flashing, and I got a couple free kills on you. So if you know that there's a possibility that I'm there after you, if you jiggle peek and you see me there, don't peek me again unless you flashbang me. So you'll have an advantage, right? The CS:GO players have an advantage in game sense. Yes, CS:GO players definitely have 100% have an advantage in game sense and aim. Do we need a 144 hertz to rank up easy? Not necessarily. It is very helpful though. Like having higher FPS will just make your life a lot easier. Because I'm telling you right now, I'm averaging like 130 FPS and I'm not having a great time. So let's see if we can get some information. Let's see who is playing here. So Sova just shot an arrow A. Do you guys see that on my minimap? Sova shot an arrow on A. So we know that their Sova is on A. Most likely, Cypher is on B, like I said. So Cypher is on B, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna shoot a boom bot, see if there's a tripwire here. So his cage is down.
Brimstone heaven.
Brimstone is heaven. We're gonna throw a nade right here. It's back left. Can I get a heal, Sage?
For you.
So let's go mid to A. Their Sova already rotated off A. We can go A. We can go A side from spawn actually. Let's go A.
All right.
So there's a pretty high chance that there's a flanker. Their Sova rotated off, so unless he just rotated off dry without knowing for sure if there was anybody here, there could be one pushed up, so I'm going to have my gun out the whole time. I'm not going to check sewers because screw it, whatever. So I'm checking left. There's nobody left. I'm checking site. Site is clear, so we're going to plant safe. I see 2 heaven right now.
30 seconds left.
I saw their Sova drone, so you guys might not have noticed, but I saw a Sova drone coming from here, so I know that Sova is sitting right here, exactly right there, on the dot. He just breached out of heaven, so he could be peeking. So Sova's on the right side now. My breach is pushed in, so I know that there's going to be one more CT right there. Sova's still heaven.
Last
Oh
player
no,
standing.
that's a whiff. So we know that
One
one is
enemy
below heaven
remaining.
and the last one is still somewhere in
dust.
heaven, I think. Oh, so he came from ramp because you can hear it in the audio, right? He's coming from the left. Great job, what a clutch.
This is what I trained for.
So did you notice that, guys? The reason why A site was clear is because
We will
I saw their
bury them
Sova
under their
shoot an
transgression.
arrow on A from across the map because I was looking at my minimap, right? So I know that their Sova was playing A. And because they saw a bunch of us in B main, we made a lot of pressure. Later on in the round, we saw their Sova was B. He was in vents, which means that he rotated off A. which means that there's at most one other person playing on A. So our best chance at taking that site, the best chance at winning that round was going to A. If we ran into B, we probably would have run into like 3 or 4 people right there. So I am dumb and I forgot to buy, but we'll probably be fine. So their Cypher is still on B, the Brimstone is still Heaven,
again.
and we know that the Sova is on A. So Sova darted and didn't see anybody, so it's very, very, very likely that they pushed through A. Hey guys, they probably would push through A.
I'm going flash Brim.
Let's go A and like clear them out, and then we can take A side again. So it's pretty likely. I'm pretty sure I hear one ramp. I'm not sure if they pushed up. So Silver rotated off. So I'm gonna hit A, guys.
I dropped the spike.
I'm gonna drop bombs so I don't feed. I am on site.
Headshot.
So there's 2 of them left. We know that their Brimstone was Heaven,
30
right?
seconds
so if
left.
the Brimstone was B Heaven, if he was right here, it's pretty safe to assume that he's gonna rotate probably through vents. That's the fastest rotation. Otherwise, he could be CT, which means that if my
One
timing
enemy
works out, he's gonna
remaining.
be CT in 2, 1. No, he's not CT, so he probably flanked. If he's not vents by now, he's definitely flanking. Yep, see? Right there, he's flanking.
I hit Brimstone 30. Nice.
So because we knew that their Brimstone was Heaven, right? Remember what we talked about when we were in the custom game earlier? Because we knew that their Brimstone was mid, and he wasn't in vents or CT at the time he should have been, then he can only be flanking through sewers, right? If we won first round, what should I buy for the second round? I would probably recommend buying a Spectre and armor. Spectre heavy armor and some utility. As you get higher up in the ranks, and if you feel like really comfortable with your aim, a lot of people like to buy Ghost and armor just to save economy, so they can buy a rifle the next round. So we have a lot of mid control. We killed their Brim. So we killed their Brim that plays B Heaven. So I think we go mid to B right now.
Okay.
Enemy spotted.
Satchel out. Satchel out. Out of charges.
So we know their Cypher plays on B, so he's still definitely still here somewhere. Yep, so he's backside.
One enemy remaining.
So I know he's hiding back here because he threw his trap, and that's the only position he could possibly be in. Viper, you have bomb?
Sorry, did that.
No, you're fine. So we think that the last player plays A. I'm actually not really sure where the Sage plays. I haven't really seen her, but I'm pretty sure she plays A. Which means that if she's not CT, she can only be Heaven, right? Because our Phoenix pushed through A, and the Sage has not been pushing before, so she probably rotated from vents to Heaven through there. Phantom or Vandal? I would say that 60% of the time I prefer a Vandal, and the other like 40% I just go Phantom. Are you doing more games after? So unfortunately, after this game, we are gonna run out of time. What does CT mean? Sorry, so CT is a CS term. Basically, what CT means is defense. So you're on the defense side. So they just threw a slow orb and they recon arrowed us, so they know that we're all here. So they just saw all of us here. I think we should go mid to B, because they're probably gonna rotate somebody. Yep, so that was the rotator. We should go mid to B right now. Brimstone might be there if he hasn't rotated already. If Brimstone is not here, that means there's only Cypher on site. Okay, so Brimstone is not here, which means that there is only a Cypher. Probably...
Bomb buddy out.
So he's not backside, so he could be B main or he could be CT.
Spike planted.
I'm gonna take a gamble and say he pushed into B main. If I clear this and he's not
One
getting
enemy
he's
remaining.
heaven. And we know the Sova plays A, so he's playing sewers and he's dead. When people say someone is coming from CT, is it CT spawn? Yes. So when someone, when I say that someone's rotating from CT, that means that he is rotating from the defender side spawn, like he's coming from here. This is what people refer to when they say CT, and this is what people refer to when they say T. I had around 500 hours in CS and 700 in Overwatch, so this game is fun for me. Yeah, me too. I played a lot of CS and Overwatch. So this game is a lot of fun for me. Am I playing on 240 or 144? I personally have a 240 Hz monitor. And most of the time when I'm not streaming, I can actually pull 240 Hz. So my poor Sage is super dead.
They walled off mid.
So they walled off mid. So if they walled mid, their Sage usually plays A. Which means that A should be open. Let's go.
Somebody out.
So Sage is dead mid. Brim's in heaven.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, I'm lagging. 80 FPS. Oh boy. So do you see what I mean when it's really important to keep track of enemy positions, right? Because Sage has been playing A for the past 4 rounds, right? It's been Sage and Sova on A for the past 4 rounds. And that round, she was playing mid, which means that she swapped with somebody, or that means that they left A pretty much open. Like, they only have Sova there. So by using that information, you can infer that A is probably the weaker site right now. And also, you should notice that their economy was pretty bad. So Sage is mid again. So last round, we killed a Breach and a Sova on A, so it's safe to assume that their Breach and Sova are here again as well. I haven't been playing A.
And Sova are vents.
Sage and Sova are vents. Which means that there is one person here, and it's going to be a Breach. So because I know Sage and Sova are vents, they're usual A players. That means that I can walk up here for free. I have made.
Spike carriers down.
That was really scary.
Go get him.
So A side is currently open right now. We know there's one hanging out in.
One enemy remaining.
Bogey killed.
So she managed to rotate behind me somehow when I wasn't looking. So I got timinged really hard.
I'm trying to stay serious here, but this is just so much fun.
But because I know that their 2 usual A players are in vents, that means that unless they have some kind of freaky weird rotation, which they ended up having, it's safe to walk up ramp because they probably have one person there. So if I clear all my angles and I walk up, it was pretty safe, and I ended up getting a free kill on the Breach because he wasn't expecting me.
That brimstone can't stop me.
Is crouching bad? Not necessarily. The thing about crouching is that it's really easy to accidentally crouch into a headshot, which is a big feels bad, man. Does recoil work the same here in CSGO? No, not quite. So the thing about Valorant is that the spray pattern is randomized, which means that it's not fixed. So it's not the exact same every single time, like CSGO is.
Here comes Satchel out.
Prepare for hellfire!
One enemy remaining.
So I know the last one is in vents, so I'm gonna flank him in case my team can't kill him.
It's hard not to play with my food.
So crouching, the thing about crouching is that if you're not crouching, your spray pattern is a little more unpredictable, but when you crouch, your spray pattern tends to tighten up a little bit more when you are crouching. That's just the way that crouch straight works. So, how many bullets do I have? 25. So, when you're crouching, usually you want to, like, if you're full committing to a spray, which 90% of the time you don't want to, but if you're gonna go for the commit kill on a spray, then you want to just crouch and make sure as many of your bullets hit as possible, right? But the downside of crouching is that you are less mobile, because if I was standing up and like jiggling, I can fire a bullet and like fall back like this. Right? I can fire a bullet and fall back. But if I'm crouching, I don't really have that option, right? Because I move way slower. If I wanted to crouch and fire a bullet, I have way more time where I'm susceptible to dying than if I were to just be standing. Wait, so I just saw one on my map. I know that their Sova is up here, so I'm gonna do something cheeky.
Satchel out. Satchel out.
One enemy remaining.
Loosen up.
I heard the last one in CT. Oh, I'm out of bullets.
30 seconds left.
Roomba of death.
Bomb buddy out.
Oh no!
Player standing.
Roomba! Yes! Is jiggle peeking worth learning? 100% yes. Jiggle peeking is a really, it's pretty easy as far as fundamentals go, but it's really important. Like, you really, it's a necessity almost. It's like a fundamental skill, but like, you can apply it at such a high level. So what jiggle peeking basically is, right? So this is all CS terminology. So what a normal peek is like this. So if I'm hiding behind a corner, right, and I don't know if there's anybody here, a normal peek would just be like this, right? This is called a peek. I'm peeking out. I want to see if there's anybody here. So this is a peek. This is just like a normal everyday peek. What jiggle peeking is that
Nowhere to run.
it's a quick peek on the corner, so that what it looks like for the enemy team is that your character model is not fully visible. It's like half of your character model is visible, but you can see on the screen, you can see like if they are there or if they're not there, and it makes it very safe for you. Right, so it's like, oh, I peek and it's like, oh, he's there, so I can back up or I can challenge again from a different angle. But if I were to go for information, if I were to wide peek like this, if I were to go like this, if he is here and he's shooting back at me, I'm really far away from cover. So if I swing out this far, I have to go for the kill or else I can't fall back because I'm too far away. But if I jiggle peek like this, if I see him, I have much more safety in doing a jiggle peek.
Continue on our path.
So this is also like, if you know that the enemy team has an opera, for example, then you want to jiggle peek the angle to see if he's there, because the frame that he has, the time frame that he has to kill you when you jiggle peek versus when you wide peek is way smaller, right? So I'm gonna give you an example of jiggle peeking. I'm gonna jiggle peek my way into A site. So I'm gonna try to walk up by jiggle peeking. So right here, I'm gonna jiggle. There's nobody there. This is smoked off. So I'm gonna jiggle the smoke.
Prepare for hellfire!
So one of them pushed down mid, and their brimstone is here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send my Roomba into ramp. So here we're in a bad position. There's Sage pushed down mid. There's one heaven, so I'm gonna try to nade him actually. Their Sage is back, so we should go mid to B. We can probably win the round if we go mid to B.
They walled off mid.
Okay, look, I can break the wall.
Yeah.
Satchel out.
Let's go!
So there's one in... I heard one in CT spawn.
30 seconds left.
There should be one here. Yep, there she is.
Free for me.
I have 7 bullets, so I really need to make sure I go for the head.
One enemy remaining.
Last one's probably Vents.
4.
If he's not Vents, he's flanking.
Off your feet!
No, he's CT.
Here comes the party.
Hey,
world.
So, if you're ever playing defense, if you're ever playing CT, and you're not playing, for example, like Sova or Cypher or anything, like somebody that can get information or utility without having to peek fully, if you're ever playing CT, you can either hold an angle, which is like, if I want to watch mid, I can like hold the angle like this, or I could just jiggle for information. So like every like 5 seconds.
Tear them down.
And you want to make sure you jiggle randomly, because if you jiggle like this, if you go like this, you will probably die. If you jiggle into the same spot like 5 times in a row, you're probably gonna die.
Brim and Sage are mid.
We're just gonna go ahead and nade him out.
Satchel out.
Oh boy.
One enemy remaining.
So we know that their Cypher usually plays on B, so I'm gonna go ahead and assume that. Okay, he flanked.
Spike planted.
So because he's flanking, my Sage walled that off, so it's unlikely. So if I time his movement, if he's coming up mid, then 3, 2, 1.
I know exactly
Oh no, so
where you
he uses
are.
thing on my teammate's corpse. So he is currently right here. If I just wait. He's walking up the ramp. 3, 2, 1. I should have hurt him pretty bad if he's here. Unless he's going for the save. Okay, so I just heard him pick up his camera in B main, so I know that he's all the way back here. So those are the audio cues that are important, right? Because I'm not sure if you guys heard it. It was pretty muted, but I heard the Cypher pick up their camera.
Round before the switch.
And because I know by playing the game that Cypher cameras, once they're destroyed or if you pick them up, it takes 15 seconds to put the Cypher camera back up, or it takes 45 seconds if the Cypher camera gets destroyed. So chances are, with the timing of the rounds, he put an aggressive camera into B main, and since nobody shot it or anything, it's probably still there. So if he picked up the camera, and because I heard it and I confirmed it, then I know for a fact he's inside of B main. So they smoked this off, which means that I can't really do much here with an op. I don't want to play close. I don't want to challenge this close angle. Like, if he runs out this smoke when I'm not ready and I miss my op shot, I'm going to die. There's a possibility that there's one over there, but there's not. So now we're back on the long angles. So I'm going to raise into this corner and hold it just to see if there's anybody here, see if we can get a free kill. So there's nobody there, which means that there could be one on the right, but I'm going to ignore that. So I know there's one in vents, so I'm going to flank with my pistol. So this guy's dead. So I'm going to push into sight. I think A is clear, boys. So I've cleared this, and now I can watch an angle like this with my op. Because they're probably going to come CT. At least one of them is. Okay, so that's really unfortunate. I missed her by like a centimeter. So I don't want to hold an angle that's predictable. So I'm going to rotate off. I think I heard one flanking.
One enemy remaining. Last player standing.
Dang, I almost got nade. Nice shot.
How much money have I spent on the game? I think I've spent around like 100
sides. Match
something
point.
just for skins. I'm just a sucker for skins. I heard ranks and everything are getting reset once the Valorant officially comes out. Yes, I believe that is true. I'm pretty sure they're resetting everything. So they're resetting ranks, they're resetting skins, contract, progress, like hidden MMR. I'm pretty sure they're resetting like everything. So it's basically like a clean start. So yeah, a little unfortunate. I'm kind of sad too, but that's just the way it is. Like at the end of the day, this is a beta, and there's never been a game like ever that carries like beta progress into like the live game. So I don't hear any footsteps A. I don't hear... Okay, so there's one person here. I saw their Sova drone like somewhere on B. The Brim is mid. So I think that the Cypher is here. Yeah, so Cypher is here. He just put his camera up.
2 at mid.
So because Cypher just put his camera up and he's still here. Sova's walking up mid. So I heard the voice line, multiple enemies spotted. So even though I only saw Sova, I know that that guy is there. And because I heard the Cypher was hanging out
on breach.
In A main,
Last player standing.
I knew that he was going to be coming eventually. So he just walled off the flank. So I heard one jump down and I heard one on top. So when the bomb gets planted, I'm going to swing out.
One enemy remaining. Spike planted.
Just like so.
Listen up.
So because I know that they're probably not expecting the fast flank, they didn't clear CT. I heard them both drop down.
Clutch.
I know the bomb planner isn't going to be holding an angle.
Defenders
so the other
win.
guy I see walking around holding CT, if I kill that guy first and then kill the guy who's planting the bomb, that's a free clutch.
So proud.
If you bought a skin, do you lose it? Yes, so you will lose the skin when the actual game comes out, but you will have if you have like credits and stuff, you will be getting 20% extra credits. You'll have 20% extra credits like when the game actually comes out, because they want to reward people for supporting them in the beta, right? But with that, the session comes to a close. I want to thank you guys very much for hanging out with me. I hope you guys learned a lot. I hope I was able to help you guys answer a bunch of questions. If you guys ever want to hang out with me or find me on coaching, please also remember to subscribe to the ProGuides Valorant channel down there. I think bottom right. I'm not sure which side is which. So the bottom right. If you guys want to follow me personally, my Twitch channel is twitch.tv/Ry_OW. My Twitter is the same. I probably will be streaming later today. If you have more questions for me personally, remember also to go to ProGuides.com to check out some coaching if you want individual coaching from any of our amazing Valorant coaches for a variety of games, Fortnite, League of Legends, really anything you want. Thank you so much, guys. We will be doing these again next week for me personally. We will also be having other amazing coaches like Bumpa and stuff, probably streaming tomorrow. So hope you guys learned a lot. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye, guys.